Now we're on page 2, and we've got this shopping trip for 3 energy efficient light bulbs, 5 old style light bulbs, and I'm using X for the cost of one efficient and Y for the cost of one old style. There was a second shopping trip by Lester. Lester bought 7 efficient bulbs and 2 old style. Here's the important part. Here's the equation, or equations. Here's Ethel's trip. She bought 3 energy efficient and 5 old style, and 3 of them at X dollars a piece and 5 of the other at Y dollars a piece. Came out to $14.50. And here's Lester's shopping trip. 7 of the energy efficient, 2 of the old style. He paid $26.10. So I decided, looking at the numbers here, you do 21 and negative 21, that would be fine, or 10 and negative 10. I preferred that, so I made this into a 10y by multiplying by 2. I made this into a negative 10y by multiplying by negative 5. Oh, here you see the results of that multiplication. You get these numbers: 6, 10, 29, negative 35, negative 10, negative 130.50. We add the columns and we get negative 29x. The y's cancel, and 29 and negative 130.50 get negative 101.50. To get x, I do negative 101.50 divided by 29 comes out exactly 3.50. Meaning one energy efficient bulb was $3.50. And then to get the old style price, I take this $3.50 for x and use it in any of the equations I want. I chose the top one here. So 3x became 3 times 350 plus 5y equals 1450. Multiply that out, you get 1050. Subtract 1050 from both sides, and you get 5y equals 4. And divide both sides by 5. You get 0.80, or 80 cents. 80 cents for the old style bulb. Now this next equation, or next problem rather, we did one of these yesterday also. I'm looking at $10,000 being vested 2 different ways: in a 4% account and also at a 9% account, and the total interest was $578. So if I use A for the number of dollars, or the amount of dollars or amount of money put in the 4% account, and B for the amount of money put in the 9% account, first easy equation is those 2 amounts have to add up to the total invested, $10,000. A plus B is 10,000. And then the other equation is based on the amount of interest. 4% of A dollars would be the 4% interest earned, and 9% of B dollars would be how much interest was earned from that investment. Add those together, you get the total amount of interest of $578. To get the opposite set up, I look at these numbers and I think, which is smaller? Just to make a less minus sign situation, I look for the smaller one, and I use the opposite of that. I'm going to multiply the top equation by negative 0.04 to set up the opposites. Negative 0.04. And not changing the bottom equation at all. No, multiplying this A plus B equals 10,000 by negative 0.04 give me negative 0.04A. I gotta zoom out some more, sorry. Negative 0.04B. And negative 0.04 times 10,000 is negative 400. Other equation, like I said a minute ago, I'm just copying it. 0.04A plus 0.09B equals 578. ready to add the columns. Those cancel. That was the plan, right? Negative 0.04 added to 0.09 to get 0.05b equals 178. And so b equals 178 divided by 0.05. And let me get a calculator for that. 178 divided by 0.05. 3560. And they had to add up to 10,000, so the other part of the money, that the A will be 10,000 minus that. If you want to be a little more formal, as in the others, I'll write, instead of A plus B, I'll write A plus 3560 equals 10,000. So A equals 10,000 minus 3560, which is 6440. So my real answer would be 6440. What was A? A was the 4%, and 3560, that many dollars at 9%. Okay. The only thing really new on page 2 today is this number 6 problem. We have a rectangle with a perimeter of 64 inches. The length is 8 more than the width. So remember that the perimeter of a rectangle, for any rectangle, is 2 times the sum of the length and width. So here we could say 64 equals 2 times length plus width. And I could remove the parentheses to simplify this, or I could just divide both sides by 2. Let's do that. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Then I'll have 32 equals L plus W. There's one equation. Now I need another equation with L and W. I haven't read the rest of the rest of the problem yet, rest of the question yet. The length is 8 more than the width. The length is 8 more than the width. There's another equation with L and W. I need to put these two together to make a system. And if I just take away W from both sides of this, it'll say L minus W equals 8. See, and now I can make a nice setup with columns, a column for L, a column for W, a column for the equal sign, and a column for the numbers. I can write this backwards. I can write L plus W equals 32 right underneath the first one. And now I don't have to do any multiplying because I've got minus W and plus W opposites right there. 1L and 1L is 2L. Those cancel. Equals 40. Divide both sides by 2. We get L equals 20. And if L equals 20, if I put the 20 in here, I can write 20 equals W plus 8. By the way, I could have used any of the equations to plug in L and find W. Take away 8 from both sides here. You get 12 for the width. So width is 12, length is 20. Okay. Is the length 8 more than the width, like the story says? Yes. Would the perimeter be 64? Yeah, because you would add these two together and get 32 and then double that. I mean, if we draw the picture, the rectangle would look like this. See, the length is 8 more than the width, and the perimeter would be 20 plus 20 plus 12 plus 12 adds up to 64. Okay, that's the end of page 2. Come back in a minute for page 3.